Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Rambles and Rants. Today's Ramble and Rant is sponsored by the color green, and hopefully that will make sense by the end of this thing. I want to start today by dedicating this entire episode to my daughter, my beautiful daughter and caring daughter Emily, who has so opened my eyes to things that I did not see before and is challenging me lovingly but firmly in a lot of areas. And so this is dedicated to you, Em, with love. First of all, I'm going to read a passage really quickly from the Bible. If you don't believe what I read, awesome. If you're totally in line with it, great. That won't be the point specifically today, but I want to start here because far too often we start with our political ideology and then we build from there. That's a little too late in the conversation, which starts way back in the beginning. So I just want to read this briefly. I promise it'll be relatively painless, but it does set up the entire rant. In Genesis, it says, "So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them." So, male and female, sounds equal. God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number." Hallelujah. "Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." Now, rule. What this doesn't mean is strip mine, pollute, ravage, rip up, frack. Such a cool word. No fracking. It doesn't mean that we can hear about factories spewing out waste and dumping it into the water and just thinking, that's okay, we were created to rule over all this anyway, right? We're made in God's image. We're way up here. The other living things here, they're created in their own little image, so they're much below us. Wow. If that's what you think, I would challenge those theological assumptions, and I would start with the word rule. The word rule does not mean to exercise authority in a way that is tyrannical or oppressive or to subjugate it as something less than. In fact, that word rule, as we're supposed to do in God's image, is used of kingly rulership in line with God's prerogatives and his plan for the world. When this thing ends, it doesn't end with the earth getting destroyed and blown away into nothing. It ends with a renewed earth. And the way that we as Christians treat the earth and other living things has a direct relationship to how much we're going to enjoy this thing that we call heaven on earth. So that's something to think about. The other point that I want to make is that it is not a green issue. It's not a liberal issue. It's a human issue. Because before you and I were here, the earth was here. The animals were here. That's really worth thinking about for a moment. Yikes. I didn't come first and these things followed, and I'm therefore in a place of dominion, as in better than. They were here before I was here. So it matters today whether or not you throw trash out the window. It matters whether or not you're upset about rainforests being chopped down. It matters how animals are being treated right now in laboratories. It matters that there's pets being neglected and abused and abandoned and hurt. That stuff matters because it breaks the heart of God. And if we call ourselves Christians, then our heart should be beating in time with his heart. The more that we say that we follow Christ, the more that we should feel acutely the pain that he feels when these things happen. This is not a right or left issue. This is a God-centered issue. I really, really want to impress that upon my fellow brothers and sisters, so that when we hear about global warming and we see some image maybe of like all the ozone layer above the ice sheets disappearing and water levels rising, we don't just shrug and go, liberal hoo-ha. But is it okay to say that we're doing damage to the earth? I don't even understand how that became a partisan issue. That's an issue of absolute fact. Every single day we do damage to this earth, and God is not pleased with it. He's super clear in his word. And so to align this with, well, is that a right agenda or a left agenda? Like, which way do you swing in your thought process. It's first of all a God issue. So if we're going to rule in his image, it means to rule like he rules. How does he rule? With love, compassion, mercy, tenderness. He hates injustice. He hates oppression. He hates when we hurt people, things, animals, or places for our own benefit. He hates that, and he actually calls that sin. So I would challenge the church to think about that today. And for my fellow brothers and sisters who don't consider themselves Christians, you're probably already on board with this anyway, and you wonder why we don't talk about it more. And so I just want to say today that I'm sorry for the way that we have so misused that verse about ruling over creation. It is not at all God's intention that we do harm to anything, anyone, or any animal. So that's my rant and ramble for today. Would love to hear your thoughts and comments. Peace.